فإلا كان عدد من المعتقلين السابقين في قضايا التطرف والإرهاب كيعيشوا حياة جديدة في المجتمع، ففي نفس الوقت غادي نكشفوا لكم النقيض ديالهم من خلال فئة أخرى من المدانين السابقين في قضايا التطرف والإرهاب، واللي واصلوا طريقهم في التطرف بعد ما وهموا الجميع بتوبة مزيفة من خلال ممارسة التقية. وهذا الأمر كانت ليه كلفة، إما من خلال قيام البعض منهم بعمليات إرهابية أو الالتحاق بؤر التوتر وانضمام لصفوف جماعات إرهابية على رأسهم داعش، أو استغلال التطور التكنولوجي لنقل التطرف من عالم الواقع للعالم الرقمي، بحيث جرى احتضان فئة منهم من قبل ديمقراطيات غربية بل واعترفت بهم، ومن داخل هذه الرقعة الجغرافية كيقوموا بنشر التطرف والتحريض على القيام بأعمال إرهابية بواسطة الإنترنت. الإرهاب معادلة المصالحة، موضوع حلقة اليوم.
According to the official figures, the number of extremist and terrorist inmates who have been serving their sentences in prison up to May 2021 is 881 out of a total number of 4,304 ex-convicts under the period of 2002 to 2021. Therefore, the total number of extremist and terrorist inmates who have been released after they served their sentences is 3,423 persons. These figures indicate that the majority of these ex-convicts chose to integrate the society, live a normal life, and cut with extremism and terrorism ideologies. I am a former inmate convicted of extremism and terrorism-related charges. As soon as I was released, I decided to start my own business. Now I am in the final stages of this completion. Praise be to Allah. I am an extremist and terrorist ex-convict woman. I served a prison sentence for 3 years and 3 months. Today, praise be to Allah, I am released and reintegrated into society. I am happy that I am back to my normal life. My name is Abdel Wahab Rafiki. I am a former inmate convicted of Shalifi Jihadism related cases, but from 2012 forth, I have been leading my activities in full freedom and smoothness within society. I am an extremist and terrorist ex-convict woman. I served my full prison sentence of 3 years. Praise be to Allah, I am back to my normal life. I am a former inmate convicted of Salafi Jihadism related cases. I have served a prison sentence of 15 years and 13 days. It looks like I become born again now. Praise be to Allah. On the other hand, some ex-convicts persist with determination on the path of extremism. The following declaration sheds light on this matter. The preemptive security approach adopted by Morocco proved its efficiency against terrorist threats. Accordingly, since 2002, the security services succeeded in dismantling 210 terrorist cells and disrupted over 500 subversive projects, some of which were going to use explosive devices. Among these terrorist cells were 8 armed cells. The Central Bureau of Judicial Investigations arrested a total number of 1,347 persons incriminated in terrorism-related cases, 54 of whom have a criminal record for crimes of terrorism. As you have heard, since the creation of the Central Bureau of the Judicial Investigations, BCIJ, in 2015 until April 2021, we find out that out of 1,347 people who have been arrested for their involvement in extremist and terrorist acts, 54 of them have prior judicial record and cases related to extremism and terrorism. This fact poses a real challenge indeed, namely due to the continuing development of technologies and the increased number of internet users in Morocco, which has recently registered 29.8 million users. The information and data which we collect from the electronic devices used by the terrorist groups are embedded in an ad hoc expertise report that helps us leading strong and efficient proactive strikes against terrorist groups. In this respect, we have arrested a large number of extremists and disrupted many subversive projects which were under preparation and planning over the internet. Therefore, the optimal exploitation of the devices seized from the terrorist groups helped us in carrying out effective and preemptive actions against their terrorist projects online. The remark made by the security officer clearly shows that the terrorist groups shifted their activities of the virtual world. This space helps them in promoting their thoughts and ideas. So how does the internet help them in this respect? To answer the question, we shall follow together the remark of Mr. Ihsan El-Hafidi, a researcher in the field of security sciences and terrorism phenomenon.
الهدف منها أساساً هو تنمية هذيك الجاهزية والقابلية للتطرف لدى المتلقي.
It aims mainly to ensure the recipient's full readiness and the susceptibility and extremism. That's why incitement is considered as a dangerous act and an offense, and an offense punishable by law, especially in countries where the national and domestic legislations qualify incitement, whether committed by an individual or a group of individuals, as a serious crime punishable by law. These failures and shortcomings are now subjected to the judicial accountability. Morocco initiated the necessary legal procedures, including requests for investigations against some individuals living abroad and who exploit the internet platforms to target Moroccan people and their institutions by acts of incitement, defamation, and encouragement of discord within society.
حالة من الافتتان داخل المجتمع.
Some extremist and terrorist ex-convicts exploited the technological development and shifted their activities from the real world to the virtual world. Besides, some Western democracies receive some of them in their countries, and, even worse, they recognize them as normal citizens. Benefiting from the advantages offered by this position, the terrorists continue to spread the thoughts of extremism and incite others to commit terrorist acts by using the internet nowadays as the new conflict zone, where they easily disseminate their extremist ideology and encourage the execution of terrorist acts. It is quite astonishing and shocking that some host countries remain silent when this issue is brought up. The scenario we notice in Germany nowadays is familiar to that in Britain in the past. Once we were talking about Londonistan, and now we have Berlinistan, because the country hosts groups that threaten their countries of origin. Who are exactly these people? There are some people living now in Western Europe incite against the state's institutions and against its security services. Has anything changed today? There is in fact a series of questions about the real motives for the use of these cards. Western countries rejected all forms of terrorist threats at any time when they looked at terrorism phenomenon as a real terrorism and not as a political leverage. There is an example of this sort of people who lives currently in Germany. Has anything changed today? Many questions, though, remain unanswered. The previous remark was reiterated by one of the extremist and terrorist ex-convicts who left Morocco. In a statement he made on December 2018 to Arabi 21, electronic newspapers based in London, he said that he traveled to Pakistan using a German passport. After his return to Germany via the Frankfurt airport in February 2010, the German border authorities banned him from entering the German territories and requested him to leave to Morocco. He said, and I quote, "They told me that I am banned from entering Germany, and I was informed that they have initiated the process of the withdrawal of my nationality." Germany, the country that banned this person from entering its territories 11 years ago after he returned from Pakistan, is the same country that hosts him now after he served his prison sentence in Morocco. This issue was largely covered by the French media outlets, namely by the famous TV show Etiquette Exclusive, broadcasted on M6 channel on March the 7th, 2021. The show made it clear that Germany renders its territories to a safe haven for a number of terrorists. The investigation concluded by the French-based channel shows that Germany becomes a haven for a number of terrorists, including some Moroccans, who are former inmates in cases related to extremist and terrorism, and who currently refuse the reconciliation program. It's my incitement. Me, Mohammed Hajib. I do incite Moroccans over and over again. With reference to this person who incites people to terrorism, who is he indeed? He is trying to direct his anger towards society. The problem here is that he is a manipulator, because he doesn't put his life at risk, but he tries to convince others to do so. This is a message to the suicides. Go ahead and commit suicide. Be real men. Anyone who wants to commit suicide, do it as real men do. You want to commit suicide? Then die as a man. Die. Die. Did you hear it? Just die. This is the real meaning of a terrorist act. They make their plan work when they persuade innocent people to become terrorists. He is a manipulator rather than an intellectual. He is dumb and vindictive. It was surprising that the author of this inflammatory rhetoric was hosted by the German official channel DW and presented him as a militant when he remains only a terrorist ex-convict. How do those interested in terrorism phenomenon perceive this issue? An official German channel, which is financed by German taxpayers, hosts Hajib. This raises a question about the party standing behind it in Germany. Is it the Ministry of Interior, or the German intelligence services, or the Ministry of State, or the German state itself? The idea here is that they are trying to embolize Morocco and cause confusion.